Hi, welcome back to another video. So in this video, I want to talk about the Durston X-Dome 1 Plus tent. This is a tent I wanted for a long time. I've always been a fan of the Durston X-Mid, and as you'll see, I've used that on loads of my long distance hikes, lightweight, summer treks, things like that. It's been perfect. However, I really like the idea of a freestanding tent. It has a few features that I prefer over trekking pole tents. However, I will be keeping both, so I'll go through it in this. So this is the tent here. I've got it in a slightly different bag. I've put this in a Lansham bag, which works well. You can cinch it really small. But as you can see, it is a tiny tent, and this is without the poles. Durston advertised this at 985 grams, so under a kilo. My weight works out 1,080, so just over, but that includes guy lines because you don't get any on the tent, and obviously you're going to need them. So the inner weighs 710 grams. Now, obviously, if you wanted to, you could take this tent out, not use the inner. I will always be using it. I get this weighing about 800 with the inner. And the poles weigh 275 grams. So here are the poles here, super lightweight, Eastern poles. It's 5 grams for the bag, so you're looking at 280 grams all in. And these are super lightweight. Now, I'll just firstly address the elephant in the room. I know there was an issue when this tent came out. Eastern, who made the poles, had a little bit of an issue with manufacturer, and some of the glue came loose, which meant a few of the poles, very small percentage, snapped or came loose. Now, this was no fault of Durston's, but Dan, as he always does, really addresses things quickly, and they spoke to Eastern, sorted out their manufacturing issues, and they decided to replace everybody's poles who's bought the tent. So if you buy one of these tents now, you've got no issues at all, and everyone who did get them replaced gets to keep their old ones. So I suppose if you do ever snap a pole, you've got a spare. Now, I've only picked up this tent recently. I originally purchased it way back when it first got released. However, because mine got caught up in customs and I never received it, I ended up getting a refund. I've had no tent. And then very recently on Facebook Marketplace, I saw somebody selling a used version. They've only used it once. So I thought I'll pick it up while I wait for the solid version to be released, which I've got my eye on. So I've just picked one up very recently. That's why my review's just coming now. So what I'm going to do, I'm quickly just going to set up the tent. I'll whiz through this section very quickly. We'll get it set up. I'll show you around and I'll show you what it looks like. And also some changes I've made to the tent and some that I'm planning to make in the future as well. So it's well worth staying tuned. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is set the poles up. Obviously, I would clip that to my bag. So I'm just going to throw it for now. Shouldn't blow away. Now, you'll find that this is one big pole section. So what we'll do, we'll just clip it all together first. So that's done. And then we'll lay the tent out. And when you first start putting these together, you'll realise how thin these poles are. Super thin. But they are carbon poles, so they're supposed to be strong. Now, as you can see, it's kind of one big section. So you've got either side, and this is your clip that goes across the middle of the tent to secure it. So what I'll do, I'll lay the inner out now. We'll place this on top and we'll start to put it together. Highly recommend these Lansham bags. You can pick these up off AliExpress, really cheap. I think they're about £8. I will put a link in the description below if you want to get one. I have loads of these and they're really handy. You can even get some thin sleeping bags and things in there as well. Right, one of the features of this tent is that the inner and the outer can pitch together, like you see in a lot of tents. However, they made a little bit of change to this, and different from the X-Mid. And I actually don't like this design, but I've made some little changes. This is the outer, and this is the inner. Now, they both come to these clips. I'm not too sure how well they're coming across, but they come to these little points. Now, each of these points has a fixed piece of guy line on it. I have made some changes, but it has a fixed loop. So when you're pitching your tent, the idea is to hold these two together and you'll get both bits of guy line and peg it down. And the only adjustability you've got is on the outer. I'm not really a fan of that. And what I have seen from people pitching online is they've tried to put the tent down and they've pitched it out and they've had to reach underneath the tent to grab the other section. So this doesn't work for me. So what I've done, I've tied these together. So I've put one of the loops around them both and they are literally stuck together. I've put them onto a guy line tensioner and then I've got a piece of adjustable guy line on it. So if I pitch my tent, I can put a stake in and I can adjust it. I can pull it short, I can have it long. One issue what comes with that is if you want to take the inner down separately from the outer, you're going to have a problem. So I'm still going to have this problem in this video, but I have got a fix that I'm going to be doing, which I will show you. So I just thought I'd show you that for now. Let's get it pitched up. Right, so the first thing we need to do is orientate the tent. We've only got one door on this one, unlike the X-Mid, so we need to make sure we've got the door facing. Obviously, in this video, it's going to be facing the front. So we'll just lay that out. Okay, so I've got the tent laid out roughly where I want it. Now we're going to pitch the four corners. Just pitch it like a rectangle, and then we'll do some adjusting. The pegs I'm going to be using for this are my Fjallraven DAC pegs. Brilliant pegs. You can choose to buy these with pegs, but I'll just use your own. So we're just going to go around the tent and peg out the four corners using my adjusted guy lines. Right, so we've got a rough rectangle there. The next thing to do is just go around and adjust it and make sure it's perfectly rectangular. Now the great news with this is I can adjust it on the sides because I've got the extra guy line. Next thing, we're going to lay the poles over the top and clip them on. So there. And it obviously goes without saying, but when you put them together, just make sure the poles are together and they haven't come apart. Got this one here. Right, so as you can see, we've got most of it together now, and we just need to go around the tent and clip on the corners. Just clip on all the side panels all the way around. Now, as I'm clipping this on, you'll see that when I've set the tent up, I staked it out first. That's how I like to put the tent together. However, what you can do, you've got no wind, there is no wind today. I could easily just lay the tent out, put all the poles on and pop it up and then move the tent around. What we'll do later, we'll take the pegs out and show you how you can move it and how it can be freestanding. Okay, so that's all the main sections together. Last but not least, we've got this top section, which just clicks into place on both sides. And then one last clip. Right, so now we've got the tent pitched. What you can do is go around and just adjust the corners. And you can just make sure these, you know, are nice and taut. Pull them round. Adjust the fly sheet down. Nice and taut, nice and tight, but not too tight. A little bit on this last one. We've only pitched this out with 4 stakes so far. But what I would recommend is staking out the door. Because if you want to open the door, you do need to have this staked. So this is the 5th peg. Now what you'll find in this, again, I will come round and show you, I've put adjustable guy lines on this as well. Okay, so that's the door staked, and you can do the same on the other side to keep it taut, but we won't do that. And we'll just put out one of these top guy lines as well. So remember, you don't get these guy lines as standard, you're going to need to add them. If you're interested, I've got 2mm Lawson reflective glow wire. Benefits of this are, yes, it glows in the dark, but it doesn't tangle, so it's really good. I'll just do it quite short so you can see it in the video. We'll put that on there, and again, adjustable as well, so we can pull that down to make it nice and taut. And one thing I will show you a little bit closer up is, rather than have loose guy line, I just put a little bit of elastic paracord on it, and you can just keep it tangle free. So we've pegged it out with 5 pegs. As I say, you do probably need one on the other side, so that's 6. You've got a guy line here on either side, that's 7, 8. And we've got guy lines on the 4 corners, so that's 12 pegs. And if you want to, you've got 2 additional guy out spots either end. So it's a total of 14 pegs really to secure it if you need to. But for me, I'm going to be using this for lightweight hikes, fast moving. It's going to be fine. I'll just quickly show you the ventilation on the outside. So on either side, you've got these little vents, and they just click on there and they'll stay open. They are actually angled quite far over here, so if you had rain, you'd be okay. I have seen a few videos, people saying the rain got in, but I can't see that happening. There's enough of a slope on here that, yeah, that should be fine. So you keep those up for a little bit of vent, or if you really wanted to, if you had strong weather, you can just Velcro them down and seal them back off. So we'll just open the door. Now, the great thing about these doors You can open them up fully to get loads of extra space. And like the X-Mid, it's elastic bungee. It's elastic door ties. So they should keep the door nice and taut there. Stop it flapping down. You can leave it like this, but we will open this one as well. So again, if we just slacken that peg off, take it off, we can tie up this side as well to fully open the tent. And same again, we've got some magnetic ties on this side, which work brilliant. Right, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Can't believe it. So I've just got in the tent and I've just opened up the inners and put those out as well to show you all the space. And you'll see this rip here. Now I have set this tent up once before just to test it, just to make sure it was okay. And as I say, I bought this on Facebook Marketplace and it was perfect. Now what I did when I got it, there is a feature where you can set them up with a trekking pole, which is what I did just to test it. And I thought, God, it's so secure. And what must have happened is when I took it down, my trekking pole must have fell and I have sliced my tent. So we're going to ignore that for the review. Gutted means I can't use this unless I repair this, which I think it's past repair. So I might contact Dan, see if he's got any spare inners that I can buy off him. But that is, yeah, gutted about that. So let's continue the review and let's show you around the tent. First thing, big change that they made on this one. The big pocket up here. Now I really like this. This is a really big pocket, really good size for getting everything you want on there. I'm not sure if you can see it on the video, but there is one here as well on the side. So you've got two pockets, there is nothing at the opposite side. Now this is the biggest side of the tent as well. So in here, what you'll find different to the Durston X-Mid is, if you're familiar with these tents, they have like a diagonal design. I'll show a footprint area on the screen. But what they've done with the X-Dome is they've decided to get rid of the second vestibule and to extend this. So it's fantastic. You get so much more room. It's so much bigger in here, which is a good place to be. This tent's massive anyway, and you've got loads of room for your gear, but I like to have my gear in my tent, in my inner, rather than in the vestibule. So this just gives you so much more room. I will put one of my largest sleep mats in here to show you quite how much space you've got, but this is a great place to be. Headroom, you probably see there, lots of headroom, even if you were to sit on a mat, like a 10cm mat, which is probably one of the biggest mats you'll use. Still plenty of room in here. I'll just quickly show you a little modification on the top, which you should do on all your tents. And that's just to add a little washing line on top. So I've just used a spare piece of that Dyneema, put a little line lock on it to hang some things on top. Now you do have two loops. You have one here and one here to tie it to. So if you want to tie a little light on there, you can do it here, or you can also do it on this side here. So plenty of room, but I'd probably hang it in the middle. Right, so what I've done now, I've inflated one of my biggest mats that I own, and I've put it in the tent just to show you quite how much room is there. Now, if I just refer to my notes, this tent is 215 centimeters lengthwise on the inside, and this mat is 202, so it's one of the biggest ones you'd have. Widthwise, this is a 60 centimeter one, and it does say you've got 130 centimeters at the head end, and I think it's about, it looks like it's about 60 to 70 at the foot end, but again, I'll show you this in here now. I'm 6 foot, by the way, and I've got an immense amount of room, which I'll show you now. So much room to the side of me, and this is the benefits of this tent over the X-Mid. You just got so much more room on the inside, so plenty of room in here to lie out. Because it's quite tall edges as well, you know, the inner's not pressing on my feet, it's not pressing on my head, you don't feel swamped, you know, cramped in. Now, if you are a little bit taller and you want a little bit more room, you can still lie diagonal across the tent, and I think this gives you a little bit more space. But we'll just adjust that. This is on the diagonal, so what you'll find is it does touch the tent. It fits in perfectly, but you kind of get about this much room at the head end and the same of the foot end. And obviously, rather than the space at the front, you've got the space at the back. If I put it to the front of the tent, you've got all this space at the back here for your gear, or where I was laid before. If I push this back, you can see the amount of room you've got here. Ample space for your gear, for your bag, things like that. I'll just put a backpack in there to show you. This is my Atom Packs. It's my Pulse 40, EP40. But if you look at that in there, I mean, it takes up no space at all. You can get that in there. If I put it there, you've got so much more room. And again, you've got so much room in the vestibule, which is what I'll show you now. Again, if you put your bag in there, that's laid right in the corner. You know, there's so much more room in there, but you can stand your bag in there. You've got room for your shoes, your wet gear, anything like that. And as I say, personally to me, I like to keep this on the inside of my tent, but it just gives you so much room, and you could probably sit in there as well if you needed to get changed. In fact, let's have a little go. I'm fully in that vestibule here. What I'll do in a minute, I'll shut the door just to show you how much room we've got, but there's loads of room in here. So when I'll show you how much space is inside with the door closed, I'll just peg it out again so you can see one of the modifications I've made this. This is what I've done all the way around. Again, they are adjustable. Just peg that out loosely. And you can pull this just to cinch it down. And obviously the benefit of this is, you know, if you had a peg there, if you had a stone there, you can really extend it. You can pull it out here, you know, whenever you want. Brilliant. Right, what I've done now is absolutely boiling there, but I've just shut the outer, sorry, so you can see how much room's in here. So if you were cooking in here, just look at all this room. Massive space. If this was filled with gear, you've still got plenty of room to cook. And obviously, you know, at the moment I've got both of these inners open, but if I shut one for you, you can leave one kind of half closed, so you've got your gear in the back, still ample space to cook. Or again, we can easily shut this again, and this is mesh. So in the mesh in the tent, plenty of ventilation, and you've got even more ventilation if you rip the back of it like I have. Gutted. Yeah, really gonna have to get that replaced. What a nightmare. That is too big to repair. But as you can see, loads of room in here. Really, really happy with it. So let me go through one of the changes that I want to make to improve this tent on the corners, because it's important to me, if it was pissing it down, that you want to be able to take this tent down from the inside, pack the inner separate, and then be left with the outer. But obviously, because I tied the corners together, I'm not going to be able to do that. So let me show you. Right, so as you'll see on the corners, I've got these pegged out together. So we've got this bit tied together. I cannot unclip this bit. This is your bit for adjusting the tent, tighter and looser. And this is where the tent connects to this corner piece. So the change I'm going to be making, and I bought a sewing machine, literally just bought one, so I'm going to have a little practice and then I'm going to do it. I'm going to cut this. So I'm going to cut this, so we've got two pieces, and I'm going to put on a little connector between them, probably closer to this. So we've got a little bit here, and we're going to have a little connector that pushes together. So when I put the tent up, it's all clipped together, but when I want to take it down, literally leave all this connected, all I have to do is unclip it, and its job's a good one. See, alternative, if you don't make this change, if you haven't tied these together and you've got two loops, what you've got to do inside the tent, you know, if you want to take it down from the inside without getting wet, you're going to have to reach under here. You're going to have to unloop one of these off your pegs, and then you're going to have to lift the tent up, and somehow you're going to have to take the bottom clip off and, you know, and jam it off under there and unpeg that. It just seems messy. So for me, to snip it, again, a little bit further up, but to snip it and put a connector on it, that will be perfect. The last thing I wanted to show you is on this top section here, just underneath you have this little pocket, and these are for your trekking poles. So if you wanted to, you know, stop this deflecting, obviously once it's guyed out, it's a lot taller than that, but for extra stability, you can place your trekking pole on the floor, push it in there and tighten it in there, and that makes it real sturdy. I'm not going to show you that today because I've not brought my trekking poles with me. I forgot them. I can tell you now, from testing it, if I was in stormy conditions, I always have my trekking poles with me. I would reinforce it with the poles because I carry them anyway. And again, just push up in there, extend them so it's nice and taut, and it really, really does add strength to the tent. So should you have pitched this tent without pegging the corners, it's easy to pick up and move around. So if you didn't like where you were pitched, you can easily move that around, you know, change where the door is, turn it round. Very easy to do. Again, we'll put it back to where it was before, hopefully in the middle of the shot, maybe over there. And there you go. So really easy to move around, so you've got your nice pitch, and then again, whack the corners down and deploy your guy lines. So in summary, what do I think of the X-Dome? I think it's a brilliant tent. Really, really like it. For me, it works well because when I've used my trekking pole tent before, I did have an issue where I snapped a trekking pole on a hike, and I really struggled that night. I was over in the Tour de Mont Blanc. I managed to find accommodation that night, and the next day I picked up a spare trekking pole, but I don't want to be in that position again. So am I getting rid of my X-Med? Definitely not. That still has its place. But when I'm on more remote hikes, or I want the feature of a freestanding tent this is the tent I'm going to take. It's lightweight, it packs small, the poles are good, there's a lot more room inside, and I really like it. If I was to say any changes, what I would like to see on a future one is when people ship the tents, I would love them to include the guy line at the top. I don't see why they don't do that. Also, guy lines for every corner. You are going to need them, so I'd like to see companies start giving those with the tent. It just seems a shame that you've got to purchase them yourselves. The only other thing to be aware of is import duty. So the tent's about £299, around that. Obviously, it will fluctuate, but just bearing in mind, you're going to have a little bit of shipping and you're going to have some import duty, which in the UK is going to be about £50 to £60. So just expect that should you order it. But other than that, I just want to say, brilliant tent. Can't wait to get out using it. I do need to fix the inner or buy a new one, and then I'll be out in it soon. So thanks for watching the video. If you've got any questions, please leave them below. And if you like the video, drop a like and you'll get to see some more reviews in the future. Peace.